What is the relationship between suffering and our witness to the gospel? This can be a very tricky question, one which, if answered incorrectly, invites outrageous behavior in the name of the gospel. This week, in the days between Christ the King Sunday, which we celebrated yesterday, and the first Sunday of Advent, which begins this coming Sunday, I'm going to focus on the epistle readings from the daily lectionary. This week, the readings are all the way through 1 Peter. The entire subtext of that letter is the suffering that some parts of the early church experienced. For the readers and hearers of this letter, persecution for their faith was an ever-present possibility. This letter was written to encourage them to hold fast to their faith in the face of persecution. But nowhere does the writer encourage them to behave outrageously and pretend that persecution vindicates such behavior. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Monday, November 26, 2023. The church has always endured persecution. Not everywhere or to the same extent, but there are always places, even today, where Christians face suffering on account of their faith. Today, it is mostly in places where Christianity is a minority religion. But at some points along the way, Christians of one sect or another have faced persecution by followers of another Christian sect. On Thanksgiving Day in America, one of the things I always give thanks for is our religious freedom, which came directly out of the religious wars in Europe, wars which pitted different Christian groups against others, mostly Protestant of one sort or another against Catholicism. But in the ancient world in which the church was planted, it was mostly persecution by a culture that just didn't know how to take this new religion, which seemed to flaunt many of the customs and cultural practices of the day. The writer, either the Apostle Peter himself or possibly a disciple of Peter writing under his name, addresses the issue of persecution from the very beginning of the letter and continues to address it throughout. After the opening pleasantries, he begins, "Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. By his great mercy, he has given us a new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, and into an inheritance that is imperishable, undefiled, and unfading, kept in heaven for you, who are being persecuted by the power of God through faith for a salvation meant to be revealed in the last time. In this you rejoice, even if now for a little while you have to suffer various trials, so that the genuineness of your faith, being more precious than gold, that though perishable is tested by fire, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. Although you have not seen him, you love him, and even though you do not see him now, you believe in him and rejoice with an indescribable and glorious joy, for you are receiving the outcome of your faith, the salvation of your souls." The clear implication here is that there is the perishable and then there is the imperishable. Among the perishable things are both the trials faced by the church and even the mortal bodies of the faithful themselves. The imperishable includes the hope of the resurrection in Jesus Christ, the testimony of the church, and the glory that will belong to those who persevere in their faith even in the face of persecution. The center of this section compares genuine faith to gold, an object of obvious worth and value. But just as gold is refined and made more valuable by fire, so also genuine faith may also be refined in the fire of persecution. The writer encourages believers to see their faith this way, so that compared to whatever persecutions they may face, those persecutions may seem minor. He concludes the section by making a bold statement. We usually think of the salvation of our souls as a future promise, but here it is also a present reality. He says, you are receiving the outcome of your faith, the salvation of your soul. In effect, he says you are already receiving the salvation of your souls, which is the natural result of your faith. Persecution was a fact of life to the people Peter wrote to. It wasn't something they had to seek out. Provoking persecution wasn't necessary or even something that they needed to want to do. As we'll see, simply the act of being Christian was enough to bring it on. It was simply something to be endured. I'm grateful that most of us do not face persecution. I am aware that, though, that, for example, our Christian friends in places like Pakistan do in fact face persecution every day. They don't go looking for it, and most try very hard to avoid it. But it sometimes happens nevertheless. So as grateful as I am not to face persecution where we live, I am also grateful for the perseverance of our sisters and brothers who do face persecution. Their witness strengthens my own faith, even if I never personally experience what they do. Tomorrow, Peter quotes Isaiah to strengthen the church. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.